what I wanted to talk to you about is Fallon made me watch this show on. You got something on your thing?
Yeah.
It's called Alone.
Alone?
It's on Netflix and is a National Geographic show. But basically the premise is like these people
Is it like Scared and Alone?
Like Naked and Alone? Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, something like that.
It's kind of. But this is...
So it's reality TV?
Yeah, but it's National Geographic, and they take these people and they drop them in the wilderness, grizzly bear country in British Columbia, and they have to, with like minimal supplies, and they have to survive, and it's basically whoever lasts the longest wins the money.
I think Taylor's told me about the show.
But these are like actual survivalists. These are people that this is like their hobby is outdoors, hunting and stuff. But these people are insane. Number one.
Yeah, they're survivalists.
They're absolutely out of their minds, but they're also insane for the shit. Like one guy was like the other day we were watching, one guy's like, yeah, we really need to get some fish. So I'm going to make a boat. And you're like, excuse me? And he's like, yeah, I'm just going to make a boat. And they're just like, he makes a boat like out of wood and a like plastic tarp.
Yeah, he hauls out a tree, doesn't he?
No, he makes the structure of a boat and then just tarps it and then makes these little like balancing poles.
Buoyancy, yeah.
Yeah, little mini boats. I was just like, okay, the guy's just gonna make a boat, and then you're crazy, and then he makes a boat. It's just
what's really is like I can tell you like you're really interested in this. I don't want to like make fun of you about that or anything.
I am so not gonna survive in the apocalypse.
Okay, you're gonna have people like Em and I that can figure shit out, and you're smart enough to figure it out. You really think about it, you can figure it out. You're smart enough. You just.
I've never had to just make a boat.
Someone never went to the Boy Scouts.
No. Another guy finds like a nail and's like, oh, I'm gonna make a knife. He just makes a knife.
This reminds me when we were playing The Forest, and I was like, oh yeah, I figured out.
That's what it made me think of.
And I was like, oh, I figured out how to make this. I figured out how to make this. And you're like, how are you figuring this out? I'm like, I'm just putting shit together, man.
So I'm like, man, this makes me want to play The Forest. And it sounds like, is that a video game? Like, yeah. You gotta make stuff and hide from mutants and stuff, you know? Like it's
kind of like being alone.
Yeah,
it's like the show.
I've done this, but just like virtually, you know, like from the safety of my couch and no grizzly bear. And there's just grizzly bears wandering around. That's
a gimmicky thing for like. I'm like, I don't want to like. Yeah, that just. I roll my eyes at that. Sorry.
I mean, they see grizzly bears. I don't want to see a 1,000-pound grizzly bear.
Neither do I, but I'm pretty sure with the camera crew and there's people around, they'll be like, oh, scared away.
I mean, they give them bear spray and poppers. Apparently, that's like a thing.
Yeah, it gets loud noise. Pah.
But anyways, I think it's an amazing show, and you should watch it because
you're probably not going to watch it.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyone listening out there, watch it because it's insane what these people do. Survivalists are crazy. This is Tommy.
This is Jacob. This is Tommy and Jacob's mixtape.
I'm gonna go make a boat.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulders of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser gates. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die.
I totally thought you were going to do that off the top of your head. It's like, wow.
I actually meant to memorize it, and then I was like, oh, shit, I forgot to memorize it.
I was really impressed for a second.
And then you saw that I'm obviously reading.
Hey, everyone.
I mean, it's a short monologue. I could memorize it. It's like I've had it memorized before.
Yeah, well, welcome, everybody.
Today... that
was an expert from Jacob's Manifesto. No, today we are reviewing Blade Runner.
Yes, indeed. To be more specific, more intrinsically specific, Blade Runner: The Final Cut is specifically the one we're going to be talking about. We'll probably bring up the other versions and whatnot as well, but this is the one that was released in 2007. Well, re-released in 2007. And Ridley Scott had the most creative control.
Like hands-on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He actually had a hands-on with the editing and all that stuff, yeah. But before we get into anything else about that, Tommy, what is Blade Runner about?
An ex-cop hunts down terminally ill synthetic humans.
I like that it was short.
A retiree retires really sick robots.
It's like breaking down Batman to being like a mental patient beats up other mental patients.
Or like a billionaire's hobby is beating up mentally ill.
Yeah. Blade Runner. Yeah. Did you say ex-cop as well? Yeah. Ex-cop, he's searching down the Nexus 6.
The Nexus 6.
So Blade Runner originally was released June 25th in 1982. So older movie, which I was like, I didn't realize that this was the same year as The Thing. And when we were like...
Yeah, no, but it's also like, it's kind of funny because we're going to have a similar conversation like we did about The Thing. That kind of happened here as well, like with its release.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of getting muddled down because of everything else that happened.
So actually, I was kind of interested with that. So I looked up for the box office release. This came out at number 27.
Yes.
Yeah, in 82.
Yeah.
It was number 27 box office, but it still wasn't like a huge box office hit. It was still kind of a flop. Not as big as a flop as The Thing, but I got kind of curious on the re-releases with it.
Okay.
So, I mean, I thought there was going to be a 2007 theatrical re-release, but there isn't. The final cut was just a direct-to-DVD.
Yeah, the box set I was talking about.
Yeah. But in 92, when the director's cut was re-released in theaters, it was 127. But it still had like, but it was weird. It's interesting that I mean, it makes sense that it is lower for like that re-release because there's only like a cult following that would probably go and see it in theaters. But I was just kind of curious if it would have been, higher or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But 127 is like, no. It's just people that it was like, go watch the director's cut and then go buy the VHS after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, for its ratings, IMDb, it's an 8.1 IMDb rating, an 89% tomato meter, and a 91% audience score. Which so it's a fairly positively reviewed movie. I think its biggest issue that doesn't give it higher is really just kind of pacing.
I was going to say everything I was reading about when it came to like actual critical review.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree with it, too, is the pacing.
Yeah.
It's like, I still haven't been able to watch the second one because it's...
Did this maybe kind of give you a little bit more?
I'm going to watch it now.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
curious where it's going to go. Because I think I had been so long since I'd seen this, and then jumping into the second one, I was like, I don't care.
Because what's really cool about the second one is, and I didn't realize this actually, is the second one actually follows a lot more with the themes that are in the book, but it's its own original story outside of Philip K. Dick. Right?
Yeah.
Philip K. Dick's like story. So I think thematic-wise, you're going to probably like 2049.
Okay.
Do you know what do you know this twist or the spoiler or anything? Do you know anything about it? That's awesome. I'm really excited for you to watch then because it's got a great story.
Okay.
And Ryan Gosling is actually really, really good in it.
Harrison Ford's in it too, right? Okay.
But yeah, so let's get back to did your number change from watching The Thing for movies that you've seen in 82?
I had 23.
Yeah, mine was 23.
Yeah, when did the thing?
But what was weird is when I looked at the thing, it was like I had 24, and there was like 134 movies on the list. The list changed on IMDb or on the Box Office Mojo. Yeah, like they removed some movies or something. It was just weird. I was like, huh.
Oh yeah, so for The Thing, I had 26.
Oh, okay.
But The Thing I did internationally.
Oh,
and then this I did domestically.
That's weird.
So there's a couple international movies I had seen, I guess.
From 82?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, what?
Yeah, right?
I'm gonna go through the list again and be like, what French movie did I watch from 1982? You know what I mean?
All right. So yeah, let's go into director and writer and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have done this,
which I completely forgot as well.
Did you?
I was sitting there. I'm like, when we started. So the director is Ridley Scott, and I was sitting there. I'm like, have we done Ridley Scott? I don't think we've done Ridley Scott. I was like, what movie could we have done that's by Ridley Scott?
Your head was going to like Alien.
Yeah, yeah. And then I'm sitting there and I'm looking through his list and I see Legend. And I'm like, oh Wait!
There is this.
He directed Legend.
Yeah, I want to say something about Ridley Scott just real quick because while watching this, and this was totally by accident, but there's a couple scenes throughout that went, wow, that really reminds me of Gladiator, Ridley Scott.
Yep.
That reminds me of Legend, Ridley Scott. That reminds me of
Alien?
Alien. Ridley Scott. I was like, okay, this is a huge Ridley Scott movie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And also, I mean, it kind of goes to show, like, he really has, like, a style.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
Because, like, yeah, I mean, the only movie that I have on here that you didn't just state is Hannibal, that he's also, like, maybe known for. Excuse me.
I want to, like, a shout out to G.I. Jane. I remember
he directed that?
Yeah, I remember that movie being sick.
And Demi Moore is a fucking badass
in that. And Viggo Mortensen's such a prick, and he's amazing at it.
I forgot that he's
like the bad guy.
He's like the drill.
Yeah, he's like the asshole.
You women can't do the Marines.
The SEALs. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's the SEAls. But yeah, that's...
I thought it was the Marines.
No, it's the Navy SEAls.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
Because that's why the training is so intense. Because like the Navy SEAls has like a 60% dropout rate or something like that.
The Marines have a high one too.
Yeah. But
I always thought it was Marines because
maybe I don't know. We should review it one day.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, why not?
Because I love G.I. Jane. Because like you said, Demi Moore's she gets fucking cut in that movie.
Yeah. So yeah, we have done Ridley Scott before. Very very well known director. Legend was a interesting movie for him to be directing.
Because if you think about like
he's most popular for like Alien, I would say.
Yeah.
This Alien, Gladiator. Yeah. I didn't know he did Kingdom of Heaven. I don't like Gladiator.
I get that. I understand that. I enjoy it, but I understand why you don't. Like I understand people being like bleh about it, but I like it a lot because of the look of it.
Yeah. Well, let's move off of Ridley Scott and move on to
I just wanted Kingdom of Heaven.
I
didn't realize that.
Is that Orlando Bloom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Holy War Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Thing.
That makes sense to be him.
I forgot that was a thing though.
That was a movie?
Yeah.
That movie actually comes into my head every once in a while.
Just randomly pops in.
I've never seen it all the way through. But like I think it's whatever
if you don't like Gladiator, you're not gonna like Kingdom of Heaven, I feel like.
There's like this like in the trailer or something, or maybe it's the poster of just like Orlando Bloom like in motion, like getting ready to like stab somebody. Just like that cinematic shot is forever burned into my memory for some weird reason.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go into writers.
Yeah. Let's talk about the screenwriters first though.
Okay.
So screenplay writers, Hampton Fancher is maybe like it's probably like the biggest, like probably the one that had the most influence on the screenplay, I would say, because he's the one that went on to also write 2049.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the other two movies that were noticeable from him was The Mighty Quinn and The Minus Man.
Minus Man sounded cool.
That's Owen Wilson, right?
Yeah, Owen Wilson's a serial killer.
Yeah, interesting, which I didn't know that was a movie. And The Mighty Quinn stars Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
So it was like...
Those are two movies I put on.
And he also directed The Minus Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, those are two movies I put on our watch list because I was like, oh, those are very interesting.
Mm-hmm. They're interesting concepts.
Yeah. And I was like, Owen Wilson is a serial killer? Wow. Look at all that blood.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Look at that blood. Wow.
Ben Stiller's like freaking out in the corner.
You're going to get yours. You know?
Yeah. And then the second screenplay writer. I forgot to actually look in I forgot to read the production on this, the writing on this. Did you read anything?
Yeah, so this is one of those kind of interesting.
So I feel like David Webb Peoples probably had like the first screenplay, or maybe have it backwards.
David Webb Peoples was like the final.
He was the final
period. Yeah.
Okay. He's really quick. He's known for writing 12 Monkeys. Wonderful late 80s movie that I like called Leviathan. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have not, but I know it.
Yeah.
You know.
And then Soldier and The Unforgiven.
Lady Hawk, which you've been
Lady Hawk,
you've been pushing for that for a fantasy.
Yeah, well, it also Rutger Hauer.
Yeah. And it's Matthew Broderick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But basically, so what's kind of interesting about this too is that Philip K. Dick was alive at this time and had like a lot of say. Like someone presented him with a screenplay and he hated it. Like there's even a quote here. So the first person was Herb Jaffe, works with it in the 70s, but Dick was unimpressed with the screenplay written by Herb's son, saying the screenplay was so terribly done. And the first thing I said to him when he got off the plane is, shall I beat you up here at the airport or shall I beat you up back at my apartment? He hated it.
Wow.
So there was
like, how dare you ruin my work?
Yeah, and so like, and then
it's like, did you even read my book? Do you even know what this is about?
Then Thatcher was optioned in 1977. So then he became the like primary writer, and then later on, Peoples was like the final like touches on it.
Peoples was the final touch.
Yes, okay. Peoples was the final touch.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah.
So yeah.
But I just love that he's like, you want me to beat you up now or later?
Well, with that note, let's talk a little bit about Philip K. Dick really quick. So as we said, like this is based off a novel written by him. The novel named "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?"
That's a great title.
It is a great title. It kind of reminds me of like a early 2000s like emo like song name.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Yeah.
And I read, so I haven't read this book, but I read like the quick synopsis, and it sounds fucking interesting because like a big theme in a lot of Philip K. Dick's books is this like the question of like what is identity essentially.
Yeah.
And like a big thing is in the book is this whole thing about how animals have become extinct as well, and like there's synthetic animals that like only the rich can buy and whatnot. And there's this whole like connection and like story of like Deckard having a black-faced sheep as his pet. Mm-hmm. And that is the book's actually very different than the movie, honestly. But a lot of Philip K. Dick's novels or short stories have been turned into
I actually didn't look that up.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
Total Recall.
Makes sense.
Minority Report.
Makes sense.
A Scanner Darkly.
Makes sense. These are all like identity.
I know, right? And
there's a theme here.
Here's one. Next.
What's next? Is that
Nicolas Cage
time travel thing?
Yeah.
Like he can teleport or something?
No, he can see 15 seconds into the future.
Right.
For
$100, useless superpower.
Well, but the whole thing is that he keeps stacking it, you know?
Yeah.
That's the only one that kind of like me.
Yeah.
But like that story, the movie was inspired by a short story by
You
Philip
still
K.
haven't
Dick.
seen Minority Report, right?
No, I haven't.
God, you need to watch that. Like, I really
actually what's really funny is like I have more interest in watching it now after we watched Edge of Tomorrow, and like, oh, Tom Cruise is actually fun, you know, like
but it's just like but the themes, the idea behind it is so cool, like, and it's really like that's a really fun, like dark, like
it's like a future noir.
Yeah, it's a future noir, like
the one that really like kind of like stuck out to me was Total Recall, because I feel like the 80s when that came out, or like early 90s, no 80s, early 90s, that time era.
And there,
the Schwarzenegger.
The height of Schwarzenegger. Yeah.
Just like, I don't know, just that movie. There's a weird thing. Is like I feel like that movie and this movie could live in a universe together.
I mean,
kind of.
I mean, I definitely was having a lot of fun, especially with this being Ridley Scott. Having fun believing that Blade Runner and Alien are the same universe.
Oh, really?
Because you kind of can make that work. You can, actually.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, Blade Runner takes place in 2019, which I think is funny.
That was hilarious. Yeah.
And then Alien takes place in like 2177 or something like that.
Apparently, in the book, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, the time was originally like 1992 or something, or 1999. Because he wrote this in like the 60s.
He wrote this. It came out in 68.
68, yeah. And as like the popularity of the Blade, the movie made the book super more popular, you know?
Yes.
They actually started like doing reprints of the book as with Blade Runner as like a quick title at the top, and then do Androids.
Yeah, and like to help to push it.
Yeah, exactly. Then I don't know if Philip K. Dick agreed to this or whatnot, but they changed the time in the book from like 1999 to 2021 or something. Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, I did think it was kind of cool too. There was a 24-issue comic book series containing the full text of the novel, illustrated by Tony Parker.
That sounds cool, and I want to get my hands on.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah,
because I looked at Tony Parker's art and I was like, okay, this these two blend this cyberpunk themey thing, and their style is okay. I like that.
Well, let's move into who's acting in this movie. Who are the stars?
All right,
who's the star power?
So we've done it before. You know him, you love him. Harrison Ford.
Get off my plane.
We've been at work playing Last Crusade. God, that movie's great.
Last Crusade.
Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Like it was the scene like he's Sean Connery's getting slapped and like asked a bunch of questions, and he grabs him by the hand. He's like, "What that tells me is you should try reading books instead of burning them." And I was like, "That's a good one. That's a good line." And he like throws his hand off.
I like how you went to Sean Connery even though we're supposed to be talking to Harrison Ford.
It's just like that's my favorite moment in that movie. I love that.
We didn't even say Harrison Ford yet. You went automatically to Sean Connery.
Did I not say
no?
Harrison Ford
is the lead actor in this movie.
Not Sean Connery.
But Harrison Ford plays Indiana Jones, if you don't know.
And Sean Connery's his dad.
Yeah, so... fucking A, that was funny.
Harrison Ford, which we did Star Wars a while back and Cowboys and Aliens.
Yeah.
So we've talked about him before.
Yep. And we like to, make fun of him a little bit.
Yeah.
He's an actor. It's like you get Harrison Ford.
He's a comfort food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not a bad actor. He's very natural with it, but he's just not very different with anything he does.
I think it's just in my brain, his claim to fame is he is a really good smug bastard.
Yeah,
he's great at being a smug, just like that little like.
He's a no nonsense motherfucker.
Well, that little like smile he does on the side of his face. Yeah, he's just really good. He's like you're punchable. When you make that face, you're incredibly punchable.
There's a fucking old. There's a old video, like a viral video of forget which. I think it's David Blaine, in Harrison Ford's house doing a magic trick for Harrison Ford, and Harrison Ford he ends up cutting into an orange that had just been sitting in there and the card, his card is in the fucking grapefruit or orange, and Harrison Ford cuts it, opens it, pulls out the card. Looks at David Blaine, just says, "Get the fuck out of my house."
Harrison Ford is the type of guy that if he told me to get the fuck out, I'd be like, "Yes, sir." Right? Even now, and he's like, what, 70? Yeah. Like, nah, yes, sir. You got it.
Never gonna see me again.
Never.
All right, so let's go into our villain, quote unquote, I guess, of this movie. I have to debate about that.
Yeah, dude. I think we are probably on the same.
You're right. Yeah.
Like this guy's not this guy. I'm like, Decker's an asshole,
right?
Yeah.
So Roy Batty, one of the replicants, he played by Rutger Hauer,
who actually passed away. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he passed away in 2019.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, he was an old guy, Old
yeah,
people.
just it's like he's such a. For my childhood, he's such an icon.
It's weird. It's like I see him and it's like, oh, I know him, but I can't really think of I had to go through his list to be like
to really pinpoint
something.
Like
what have I seen him in as well? Mm-hmm. It's like it's like he's got a very recognizable face.
Oh, and voice too.
Yeah.
He's a very. He definitely has like a presence when he's on screen.
Oh yeah.
With his piercing blue eyes and that kind of raspy thing, he definitely
and his fucking white hair.
Yeah, he's got a presence.
If you're not really familiar with him, I mean, he's one of the board members of Batman Begins that's trying to get.
Yeah, he's in the movie 6 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
I forgot he was in that.
I feel like most recognizable is probably Lady Hawk.
He's in Lady Hawk?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't see that on the list because I just went off what I remember.
It's a very young Rutger, even younger than this.
Well, that's funny because it's so funny because we're completely different. Everything I wrote down was just from memory of what he was in.
Yeah, and then the biggest one that I just think is funny is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the 1992 movie. Mm-hmm. He's the main vampire bad guy.
Yeah, and then also in Salem's Lot, he's the main.
I don't remember Salem's Lot that well. So
the Rob Lowe one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he. That's why when I look at him, I think vampire guy because
that's fair. Yeah,
But he was also in Sin City, which I want to bring up because the way
I don't remember him in Sin City.
He's the Cardinal.
I didn't write it down. I just don't remember Sin City that well, actually.
He's the one that's protecting Elijah Wood.
Okay.
He's the Cardinal. He's this big, but he dies by Mickey Rourke crushing his head.
Okay.
Which is just kind of
I know that scene.
Yeah. But then also just like Merlin which was like Merlin and 10th Kingdom, which are these two fantasy.
I've never seen 10th Kingdom, and I don't remember him in Merlin. I don't remember Merlin.
Merlin and 10th
I don't
Kingdom,
remember a lot of shit that he's in.
Merlin and 10th Kingdom were these like two fantasy TV like TNT miniseries, kind of things. But they were both like now like I've watched them like as an adult, and they're really dated, and they come off really 90s and really cheeky.
Yeah. A lot of those TV movies really do for that time era.
Yeah, but they're really, if you have like young kids that are into fantasy, I say let them watch them, because Merlin's a little more adult in certain themes, because it's also the story of King Arthur. So there's
but it's also TV made, so there's nothing.
It's not gonna go Game of Thrones on you.
It's not Excalibur where you're getting titties halfway.
Yeah, no. It's pretty tame, but they're really, if you have kids that are like really into fantasy, these are 10th Kingdom and Merlin are fun for like the 8 to 10. Especially 10th Kingdom. That's really kiddie, but it's good. But he's just in them, and that's why I remember him. I grew up with him.
That's interesting. It's like I feel like this movie is the most like this is like the go-to for me for Rutger Hauer is this, because I mean, also he's fucking freaky. He's so good in this movie. He's so great.
It's weird actually too. He's really not in the movie that long.
No, he's not.
But he makes it's like he makes his Anthony Hopkins Hannibal kind of thing.
Well, it's like I kind of want to go back and really watch. I don't think I've actually seen the original cut or the director's cut. I think this is the only version I've actually watched.
I'd be interested in the theatrical cut,
because I've never seen the unicorn sequence, and I always think it's in this.
It is in this.
No, when does he have the dream about the unicorn?
When he's drunk sitting at the piano, and he's just doom, doom.
What?
Yeah, no. That's when I was like, oh, legend, because there's a fucking unicorn in it.
Okay.
You missed it. No, the unicorn sequence is in this, in the final cut.
Okay.
But yeah, that was that moment. I was like, oh yeah, and that's when I started doing the Gladiator and then.
Anywho, okay. Well, I do want to see the original cut, which I know I haven't seen because it has the noir voiceover on it
that Harrison Ford hated apparently, and also the ending is incredibly different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, which makes sense because the editing and pacing of the ending of this is very strange. So, well, let's really quick. So quickly, Sean Young is female replicant in this. She plays Rachel. Recognizable probably for 80s for like Dune as well, which I don't really remember the 80s Dune.
I have weird fever dreams of it.
And she's an Ace Ventura pet detective, which did not age well, her character at all.
What is it? He found Captain Winky. I think my first introduction was probably Stripes.
Which I don't think I've seen.
She's one of the
Is that a show or is that a movie?
Stripes, the Bill Murray and
the movie.
Harold Ramis.
I have not seen that. Yeah,
Army movie.
Yeah, I've not seen that.
That also didn't age very well.
A lot of things from the 80s don't age well.
No, it's pretty. I couldn't sit
especially through comedies from the 80s, dude. Revenge of the Nerds. Oh no.
Porky's.
Yep. No.
Rough.
And then let's do quick shout outs to let's see. There's Brian James, who's also one of the replicants. He's one of the generals or army guys in Fifth Element. Daryl Hannah, which is kind of this is like her early career. She plays Priest, recognizable from Splash as the mermaid, or Kill Bill as the what's her name with the eye patch?
Rattlesnake, California. Yeah. Who I am still horrified at that last scene with her in the trailer. Yeah, and she's just screaming, and I just can't with that.
And then the snake comes out, and you also had a couple of people you wanted to bring up as well.
Oh yeah, like Edward James Olmos is in this, which I just brought it up because I did not recognize them at all. But he's probably
the commander in Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, like the main commander. I'm trying to read this. Emmett Walsh. Which is, it's just like, it's one of those movies where you're watching it and everybody you recognize.
Well, the movie's also, I was thinking about, it's like, when we get into these older movies, it's like, there's going to be a lot of like people that have had like smaller role careers, you know, they were the Harrison Fords or, you know, blah, blah, blahs. Like Emmett Walsh, like I personally, like the quickest thing I first recognize him from is a couple episodes of the X-Files.
Yeah.
Because he, like, because of his connection with Mulder's father and whatnot. He tells stories of what happened with Mulder's father when they were in the FBI, in like the 70s or 60s. And some there's the funny episodes as well. Who else do you get? Oh yeah, what was that? My thought just like trailed off.
Yeah, I was trying to follow you with that. I couldn't keep hold of it.
So like it's like all of these people. It's like this is 1982. So yeah, Emmett Walsh has had like he's like in this little like small role in this movie, role in this movie. And sorry, I just want to yeah
no go ahead. Sorry.
It's like a lot of movies from like the early 2000s or the 2020s, like or like the 2010s, whatever later, getting closer to now. It's like we don't know who's going to be that reoccurring person that it's like, oh yeah, I remember them back when they were in Spider-Man Homecoming as this small role, and they've had that small like Hannibal Buress might be that fucking person,
Yeah, I was also gonna say with 82 and it's 2022. That's a long time to have a career.
Yeah.
So a lot of these people you have very possibly seen in something
exactly
when you were 10. But like even like Joe Turkel is in this.
Yeah.
And if Joe Turkel also passed away in 2022.
Oh,
that's sad. But like Joe Turkel, you'll be like, oh, like who is that? The bartender from The Shining.
The Shining, if you've seen The Shining, yeah.
Yeah, so you'll recognize these people. And I don't want to throw out to James Hong, who I love, Big Trouble in Little China.
He's the main. He's the
bad guy, the sorcerer.
Yeah.
But he's just like the second I heard it, he's like when he's in the little frost room and he's just like talking to him and muttering. I immediately knew who it was just because of his voice. I was like, is that fucking it's James Hong? Right on. I love James Hong. And then, and Jonah Cassidy, who's another one of the
replicants.
Yeah, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Dolores. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, which is an amazing 80s comedy in my opinion.
I didn't recognize her as that's Dolores.
Yeah, right.
Shit.
Right?
Whoa.
But yeah, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead is awesome still. I watched it not too long ago and it's still
Who is she in that? Is she the mom?
She's the boss.
Christine Applegate's boss.
Her Meryl Streep,
Yeah. Yeah, that movie's
funny.
Yeah.
It's actually for an 80s, there's some moments, but it's aged pretty. It's okay. It's still pretty funny. Like,
word. I mean, yeah.
That's everybody.
Yeah, it's a big like mainly Harrison Ford. But
yeah, it's his journey. You're following him the entire time.
Anywho, but let's get just him.
Deckard, yeah.
Yeah. Let's get into reviews. The review corner with Tommy.
The review corner. Okay. On Metacritic, there are 13 positive, 1 mixed, and 1 negative. So that made my job kind of easy. And for positive, I had Robert Osborne at the Hollywood Reporter, who gave it 100. Blade Runner is a cold, bold, bizarre, and mesmerizing futuristic detective thriller that unites the British-born director of Alien with the new box office dynamo Harrison Ford for results that are as impressive as any film that's exploded through projectors so far this year.
I didn't really think about that, how popular Harrison Ford was at this time.
Well, that's why I picked this one, because it specifically said with new box office dynamo, so that means this was written
with Harrison Ford in mind.
But also when the movie came out, because this is when Harrison Ford really started picking up momentum.
Because of all of obviously Star Wars and
Indiana Jones.
Is Temple of Doom out by now? Or is it only Raiders?
I think only Raiders. I'll just type in Temple of Doom.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that. I feel like Temple of Doom may have been like right after this.
Temple of Doom came out in 84.
Okay, so
2 years after.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's a busy year.
84?
Well, like going to Blade Runner and then going to Temple of Doom. Those are 2 big productions to go like back to back.
Well, and Return of the Jedi was right around this too.
Was it?
Return of the Jedi was like 81, 82.
Man, yeah, he was doing a lot.
Are you looking up Return really quick?
I'm just looking up like that like, so what we said. So Empire Strikes Back was 80. Lost Ark was 81. Blade Runner 82. Return of the Jedi 83. Temple of Doom 84. Like all of these are big Hollywood productions.
Yeah.
Like this is a lot of time. Like this dude was nonstop working for a solid like almost 5 years.
Damn, yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that it was just boom, 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 boom.
Keep going in years really quick.
And then 85 Witness.
Okay.
86 The Mosquito Coast.
Oh yeah. When does the Fugitive come out?
The Fugitive is we had Patriot Games.
Oh yeah.
Fugitive is 93.
Okay. Damn. That's 15 fucking years of shit. That's like just huge shit.
But it's just that's just nonstop working.
I don't know. It's like I've always known that Harrison Ford was like a huge fucking star, you know. But that strangely just put things into perspective for me. I didn't think about that.
I just didn't realize it was so rapid fire for like a decade almost.
It's like I love his shirt. It's like I'm Indiana Jones or Han Solo. And so,
just think about that too. Just as Harrison Ford as a person, he is an action icon to like Indiana Jones, Han Solo. Like those two alone are like huge.
Mm-hmm. And then like sci-fi nerds like us, or like the underground sci-fi nerds, you know, fucking got this as Deckard.
Yeah,
you know?
like he's wow.
Well, let's keep going on for reviews.
Yeah, sorry, I was just
that was a spiral.
Oh no, but I'm also like really I'm kind of blown away by that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so for mixed, gave it a 60 was Janet Maslin at the New York Times. The view of the future offered by Ridley Scott's muddled yet mesmerizing Blade Runner is intrinsically detailed as anything a science fiction film has yet envisioned.
I like that one actually.
And then for negative, a 38 out of the 100, the Christian Science Monitor, the only negative one. Which I was like,
the Christian Science Monitor.
Oh
boy!
No, they write a lot of reviews.
Really?
Yeah, but I usually don't. As the movie is more impressive for its finely detailed vision of Los Angeles as a futuristic slum than for its story, acting, or message. It's all downhill after the first few eye-dazzling minutes, which was written in October '92.
All right, so '92 the re-release.
Yeah.
I think that's actually. I was,
you thought it was going to go somewhere else.
I thought I was going to go somewhere else.
It's a Christian Science, you know. Anyways,
as you put the word Christian in front of anything, and I'm immediately my mind immediately goes into a very weird place.
But yeah, I mean, and like even then, like even with the positive ones that are kind of lower. But like, you know, like Robert Ebert, who gave it a positive, a 75 out of 100, said it looks fabulous. It uses special effects to create a new world of its own, but it's thin in its human story.
Which is true.
So it's like, I don't know, if a lot of them when I was reading, because I read all of them, and a lot of them were just like, it was pacing, and a lot of people were just bored.
Yeah, and it's really rewatching this, and like, because I haven't like rewatched it in a while. It's like I'll have this like this is a movie that I'll put on to like.
You haven't paid attention to it.
Yeah, it's like it'll be on in the background for like while I'm doing some stuff, or I'll put it on while I'm going to sleep, because it's easy movie to go to sleep to for me.
Yeah, that's fair. It's like synth kind of like music,
and like this slow drawn out shots of like, which is a beautiful like futuristic cyberpunk type world that was created. But like it's kind of like what Dune did to me, is like I am really disinterested in this really long drawn out shot of
like the new Dune.
Yeah, the new Dune of like the vehicle approaching or the taking off of the ship and all the stuff. I'm just like, cool, it's beautiful, I get it. Stop jerking yourself off. Let's fucking get to the point of this goddamn movie. Yeah,
I mean, and there's actually quite a few scenes.
It's like, it's very beautiful. It's like, I get it, but this could have been 30 seconds shorter.
Yeah, you didn't need just trim it.
Mm-hmm. Just trim it down a little bit. It's like, but I also get like why they want to like kind of show all that. It's like, you want to get the you know, you spend a lot of money on this so I can show it off, you know?
Yeah, and also I think it's like with those shots too, you wanted to show the vastness, the scale of what LA is now, and the barrenness, but with the human
which I get, but it's like you can it's, I think for 82, like I could see an audience like being completely like blown away with it, you know? It's like I could see like the pacing for maybe it's like people's like attention span has like decreased, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like as we've gotten older with like film, as filmmakers and film consumers, like some pacing like can be forgiven for them, because as an audience back then we didn't have all of the stimuli that, or like growth as a film in itself, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's also just kind of interesting to look at it too, because even, I mean, now, like I was saying to you off mic too, that it's definitely been even more restored. Yeah. Digitally. Yeah. It looks really good.
It does.
It's a cool world that they have created, and those shots do work but like you said, they're just a little they're just overdone.
Yeah.
You know, like even then, if you think about it, yeah, okay, fine, keep this long shot, but you don't need the other two.
Yeah.
You know,
which I mean, it's also knowing like this is the final cut. This is like Ridley Scott's like final like envisioned mind for it. It does like I kind of do want to go back into like that theatrical release and see.
I'm curious about that now.
What
too.
it really looks like, you know,
and I
and
guess
what's
I
the
own
pacing.
It, so,
yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't hurt.
And then go into the director's cut and see where
That's too much. You let me know about that.
I can do.
I'll
that
do the theatrical.
I wouldn't do it back in one sitting. It'd be like I'm going to watch the theatrical release and then like in a week or two later watch the director's cut. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so, like, let's get into like the nitty gritty of like this film. You know, like what is like it's a Philip K. Dick story, so there's and it's science fiction, so like there's always some type of like message of humanity. You know, like metaphor shit and whatnot.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's sentience.
Yeah, it's like so. I kind of put down like it's like what dictates humanity. You know, and like what is identity.
Well, it's also like something interesting. I just didn't realize because I guess because when we watch these movies for this podcast, we watch them differently than like our casual and so watching it this time, I actually didn't realize what the replicants were. I really thought they're robots.
They're synthetic.
They're synthetic humans.
They're still machines technically.
Yeah, but
there's an organic thing about them.
Yeah, but I thought they were like the androids in Alien.
Oh no,
that's what I thought they were kind of like, and then I realized by watching it again, I'm like, oh no, these are like blood and flesh made in a lab humanoids, which I just didn't realize. But
it's
like
there's still like a synthetic idea, but they're advanced humans. They're well, and that's the thing is I think about it's like where like Roy's like plight, I guess you can say, is that he feels that as a replicant that he's transcended humanity and humans.
He's better than humans. Yeah, and then he is in a sense, physical and mental
physically
level.
Yeah, like they're built different.
They're just built different. I'm like really obsessed with this idea though of you can connect Blade Runner and Alien into the same thing. Like, the whole like thing about the synthetics now are illegal. They're now getting eliminated. But then the Tyrell Corporation gets involved with the Wayland Corporation. They're like, hey, this actually wasn't a bad idea. What if we just make them less human and make them actual androids that are going to follow their protocols to the T?
Yeah.
I just like that idea. I'm like, that's kind of cool. Like, this is what Earth looks like. And
we'll write the fanfic then.
I'm sure someone has. Yeah. I can't be the only one to think of these two.
Probably not. I'm pretty sure there's a Reddit fucking chain for it. Probably.
I'm sure. Like, not that creative. Yeah.
So and the interesting thing is like really watching this, like Deckard's, like you were watching this movie through Deckard's like perspective, and like the whole thing is like he's brought from out of retirement to hunt down because he's the best. He's the best Blade Runner.
He's the best Blade Runner.
Best Blade Runner ever there was.
Even though he seems like he kind of sucks at it, I'm like,
right?
You're the best.
Well, like, I mean, that also could just like be credit to like how fucking good these Nexus 6 are, though, as well.
True. Well, because even I thought
because they are like a different. They're like top of the line. They were an experimental.
Well, yeah, and that's what I thought was interesting too, because like that whole conversation, he doesn't really know the details about them, and I was like, if he's the best Blade Runner, why you like? For a second, I was like, is this a weird dialogue to inform us, the audience, about what's going on? Because if he's a Blade Runner, he should know all this information, and then it registers. I'm like, oh, this is a type of replicant he's never dealt with.
Yeah.
So that's why they're okay.
That's why they have to bring him out of retirement. Yeah, because they need the best of the best. Because this is something they've never seen before. This is a replicant that is so aware of themselves as a replicant, and that they've realized that they are better than humanity. But also at the same time, all they're trying to do
is live.
Have more life.
Well, it's like weird too. Like I remember watching this as a kid, and it's like kind of like an just a perspective thing. As a kid, you are like, yeah, go get those bad robots.
Yeah.
But then as an adult, you're like, you're a dick.
It's like, it's like these robots. Like, sure. Well, I mean, okay, yeah, they are murdering people, but all they want is just to find a way to have more life, and they just want to be left alone.
Well, like even then, like the first, what was his name?
Leon.
Leon. Like even Leon kills that guy because he's about to be found out and killed.
Yeah, It's a defense mechanism.
It's self-preservation.
And that's why they're also like, as Deckard's hunting, Deckard is sent out to hunt and kill them.
Yeah.
So when they know this, so when they see Deckard, what are they going to do? They're not just going to be like, oh, my bad, boy. You can blow up my head now. No, they're going to fight for their lives.
Yeah. The only one that is really like the problem is Batty. Yeah. Who's a little batty. But it's also like his whole, like, how little he's in the movie, his arc is really interesting.
Yeah.
Because did you notice he goes through the stages
of grief?
Of like death. The five the 5 stages of death.
Of coming to terms, like
coming to terms.
Yeah.
He goes through all of them.
Yeah.
Which I was like,
I didn't know that. So actually, yeah, that's actually really cool.
Right? I was like, that's crazy. And then it's like in a 20-minute long 20-minute long scene. Like even that, like going pacing, that chase scene is a little...
Well, what's weird about that chase scene, and like, that's one thing that really this final cut doesn't fully feel right, is the editing is clumsy and jumpy, and it feels like Ridley Scott wanted it to be something different, and this was the only way that he could edit it to seem like what he wanted it to be.
Because I remember that scene... Like, I remember when I watched it this time, I was getting excited because I remember, and maybe that's because
a lot of it felt very rushed. Like the moments felt very rushed.
Well, because I remember as a kid watching it, or a young adult, and that scene, I was like, oh, so watching it this time, I was getting excited because like, oh, I remember the scene being really kind of like, almost turns into like a horror movie, cat and mouse, like Mr. X kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it didn't have that feeling this time around. And I don't remember if it's the theatrical that it was different.
I don't know.
Or is it just age and it just is different to me because it's not as... But I remember being like kind of scary. I found it kind of goofy this time.
I mean, that could just be age a little bit. But I mean, it's like... Also, Rutger Hauer... I mean, if you really think about like him running around and all that stuff, it's unsettling. It's like...
Well, I was reading that they gave him a lot of like creative control.
Oh, really?
Like,
yeah. No, he rewrote that monologue.
Yeah, well, but basically he had the part just from his past acting credits.
Oh, okay.
But like really it was like, this is who I think we need to be, like, you know. But I just love, so they gave him a lot of like
creative control.
Yeah, to like make the character Roy into what he wanted it to be. But I just have this, and I don't know this, I just like to play around this idea in my head that... So, all right. So this is the scene, okay? We're going to have you chasing Harrison Ford. Like, and we need you, this is where we need you to go. Cool. And he's like, all right. And then next thing they know, the crew's standing there and he's in his underwear and they're like, did you know he was going to, I didn't know he was going to do that. And then and the howling. So he's just running around the set in his underwear howling. And they're like, the fuck is going on? I just love the idea that wasn't planned.
And then really Scott's like, follow him. Follow.
Go. Get on top. This is amazing. But I really enjoy that thought.
I mean, that is interesting, but like it's iconic as like when he gets down into his underwear, it's like he's shedding humanity essentially, you know, and breaking down into the most like he's coming down to his bare like replicant self.
When this is like the anger, like the anger stage.
Yeah, and honestly, if I was to like put this into a graphic novel of some sort, I would have him running around naked chasing Deckard. It's like super animalistic.
Keep his shoes on though. What? I don't know. I feel like that's
weird.
I know exactly.
Yeah. But like, you know, he knows that he's dying because like, so a big thing is the Nexus 6, these replicants.
It's like a 4-year lifespan.
A 4-year lifespan.
And what was the reasoning behind that again? I didn't really follow that.
It's because they were an experimental type of replicant, and kind of like Rachel's like. A next like
she's
evolution.
a Nexus 7.
Yeah,
in
essentially.
A sense.
And what's crazy with Rachel is that they implanted memory. God, this movie makes me think of Ghost in the Shell a lot of the times.
What's crazy about this movie, like no matter what you want to say about it, is the amount that this influenced this genre.
Oh yeah,
like
so well
for decades on. Like even like Detroit Becoming Human. Mm-hmm. That came out what, like 5, 6, 8 years ago?
2017,
something like that. Yeah. But even that is this. That is about sentience in a quote unquote artificial life form.
Yeah,
that is becoming
Ghost in the Shell, which is just like you're an android, but you have the memories of the shell. You know, it's like that's Rachel's whole thing.
Altered Carbon, that entire hotel scene at the end. I was like, it's like, I'm like, there's no way you can't find like.
Well, but then like, but Philip K. Dick has like a lot of responsibility for that as well.
Totally in the themes, but I mean like the aesthetic that was built. Fifth Element, like Johnny Mnemonic, like it's just like it's crazy, and it really like a lot of it. I really like. It comes down to this.
Yeah. So the whole thing with the Nexus, well, Rachel, she has memories implanted in her, and like Deckard kind of reveals that to her, and then
in a dick way,
and then forces her to kiss him. Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, Stockholm syndrome.
That was weird.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also the forced love interest thing as well. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Nexus 6, Rutger, like Roy and Priest and Leon, like all of them, like, yeah, they were designed and like they didn't realize that their lifespan was going to be so short.
Oh, and that's what it was. It was something about like, because they're so advanced, they'll start making their own emotional responses.
Which
and
they
basically
do.
And
Yeah.
they have the 4-year lifespan because they're not guaranteeing they can control for X amount of time. So like, hey, let's just make it so they die quicker.
Mm-hmm. And then but like within that, there's the experimentation of like, can we make them live longer?
Yeah.
And there's that whole conversation with Tyrell and Roy when he's like, well, what about this? Have you tried this? Have you tried this? And they're like, yeah. And then you come across with this problem, this problem, this problem. And essentially Roy just looks at it as like, you just gave up. Mm-hmm. You don't care about your children. You are my creator. You are my father. And now that you will not help me, I will kill you.
Gladiator. That was the Gladiator moment.
When he kisses him and crushes his head.
Remember?
No.
Joaquin Phoenix, like, same kind of, like, moment is, like, having a heart-to-heart with his father and gets angry and smothers him in his chest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's crying, like, why won't you love me? It's very much, like, the same kind of emotional response.
That's very just Greek. You know what I mean?
Huh?
Very Greek, like son killing the father, taking the place.
Oh, like in
a Greek myth.
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, but really, that shot and the way it was done specifically is very
close,
very tongue in cheek, like linked.
But yeah, it's really Deckard's whole thing is like it doesn't even have like a fun arc in this movie. He's really just a bounty. He's a replicant hunter sent out to find these replicants. The replicants have the interesting story. It just Deckard is just trying to find them.
Deckard is the villain in a way.
Yeah.
And like to the obviously to the replicants.
I mean, it's interesting. Like, I think the most interesting part of Deckard's story is when he gets this weird attachment to Rachel, and now he wants to protect her because I think there's a sense of like I don't want to say pity.
To me, it was a conflicting ideology.
Like why he wants to protect her?
Yeah. It's like if you're seeing her as something more as like something you can...
I think he feels bad for her because
yeah, but then why doesn't he feel bad for the other ones?
Because they've been aware their entire lives that they were replicants.
Well, yeah, but they're still going through the same kind of emotional response.
But it's like since Rachel was forced to believe that she was human, and now she's coming, she now has to realize what she is and whatnot, It's
but I just still think it's weird that he still went after them. Like,
because they're killing people,
But it's like, even then, it's at that point, he's like, okay, so this is why don't you just take off with her? Like, fuck it.
And also they're like, oh, well, look. Well,
they're going to die anyways.
And he's aware that they're going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he knows. That's what I'm saying. It's a conflicting ideology because he's all like, I want to protect Rachel. I want to save her because I feel bad for her. It's like, okay, then leave the other ones alone.
Yeah.
They have a few hours. Like, time will take care of this problem for you. You don't need to. I don't know. I just thought it was
be lost in time.
I just thought it was really weird,
like tears in rain.
And also, why'd they kill Sebastian? That was fucked up.
The replicants?
Yeah.
I think there's like little moments like that where it's like they're just doing certain like I feel like that's like we have to show that they are the bad guys.
Yeah, that they're evil. Yeah, that maybe that is what it is.
And there is a little bit of like they're like as they're like reaching the end of their life, they're becoming a little unhinged.
Well, then I think that's the process. They're, the bargaining, all that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, they definitely are. I mean, and that could have been something you could have, like, see, like that right there, that could have worked too. We need you to eliminate them before the end of their lifespan because they will start to degrade psychologically and will become really, really dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, we can wait out the clock, but if you wait out the clock, they're going to do a lot more damage. You need, you know, like if there's a countdown, not only the countdown of they're going to die, but the closer they get to dying, the more dangerous they are to civilians. There's your push to like make it happen, you know. But that's the thing is like, I enjoy this movie for the like that, but again, like Roger Ebert, the story doesn't really.
It's thin.
It's thin
for the humans. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like what is your purpose?
What are we supposed to connect with and get away with here? What like when we finish this movie and we walk
what's
away?
The point?
Yeah. What are we collecting? What are we getting as humans? And the big thing is really because it's for Philip K. Dick, it was this thought of like it more about thinking about the replicants and their thought of like what is identity, you know. What is this, you know, what does humanity mean to us as not humans? You force this idea of what a human must be, but we aren't you. You created us, but you created a better you.
Did anyone else get dizzy from that? Physically got dizzy. I don't really want to do this, but I'm really curious. That's why I want to ask you. With this Blade Runner and then leading into the sequel, does the sequel pan out a better story? Does the sequel help the original in a way of creating more lore and creating more of a tangible feeling?
Yes, because I feel like the second one actually kind of, you get more of what Philip K. Dick was trying to write.
Okay, because that's the thing. I think that's why I also went into Blade Runner, the second one, and I've tried to watch it like 2 or 3 times and always just kind of like fell asleep or whatever.
I can give you my Amazon login so you can just watch it.
Sure. All right. That sounds great. But it's like, and that's something that like, I think that's why I've always felt about this one is especially watching it as a young adult to now is it feels thin.
Yeah.
Because you look at Deckard and you're like, what is actually your purpose besides?
Well, sorry, you keep going and then I have another.
Besides just being a killing machine in this, like you basically what you are in this, you're Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator. Like, what are you besides that? Like, you're not an interesting character to follow because you are, like, I watch this, you are the villain in this. You're going around and just masked like this, especially the burlesque dancer. She's just trying to have a job.
Well, what's interesting is, like, with the point of view we have today, we see that. But back in 1982, he is the hero because he's the cop. I mean, that's just, like, it's such a blanket, like, idea is like that's what audiences immediately saw. It's like he is a police officer, therefore he is the hero because of what the culture was then.
Oh yeah, but I mean, that's an interesting point actually too, because also just with media and pop culture and stuff, the amount of things that we have that like when it comes to movies and video games and everything, the amount of hubris of man where it becomes we create this thing, now it's a problem, we need to eliminate it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think a lot of people are like, fuck humans. Like in these kind of, it's like, yeah, you made something that you shouldn't have made.
Our postmodern world has evolved into an actual like awareness of it. And like, it's crazy. It's like, this is like in literature, it's been like that for like, that's what Philip K. Dick is writing. It's been like that in science fiction and fantasy forever.
Yeah.
And it's not until now as of people of television and film that we're starting to see that in video games.
It's a huge thing.
And now, video games kind of started that in like the 90s. I mean, Final Fantasy VII, you're playing a terrorist group against the big corporation.
No, totally. But I also mean like with video games now too, a lot of them do come out and they're dramas.
Yeah.
They're about humanity and dramas.
Yes.
Even I know a lot of people didn't like Detroit Becoming Human, but it's an interesting concept because you are playing as the artificial intelligence that just wants to live.
Yeah.
You're not the one with the gun. You're the one facing
Which
the gun.
then, within that sense, that questions your humanity and what that means and the choices that you make.
It's like, yeah, you can't, like, that's what I was saying about the hubris, too. It's like, you can't make a sentient being and go, uh-oh, and then pull the plug. It's like, no, you have made a...
Frankenstein.
Yeah, but even then with Frankenstein too, that's kind of weird because I was saying like, the time limit is making them more. Frankenstein starts to deteriorate and he becomes a monster. He becomes a problem, but that's like now it's okay. Well,
he also becomes a problem because he starts to become, he starts to learn, then the more intelligent he gets, the more he realizes a monster he is.
Yeah. But it's like, yeah, that's interesting. But it's like you're saying too, like we were talking about. It's like that you need like to create the hero's story in a weird way. You need to make him a threat, when, you know, to justify the killing, the extermination.
Which is why Rutger Hauer is now going to be, well, Roy Batty is going to be killing people because, you know.
Well, even the balls to call it retirement.
Yeah, right.
Like if you haven't seen,
you got to put.
They don't call it. They don't call it execution. They call it retirement. Like,
so
yeah, they're on a farm.
So the big question for you, because this is an ongoing debate,
is he a replicant or is he not?
Yes.
I don't know. I think it's kind of confusing. It feels like an Inception.
They give you an answer in 2049, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Well, because there is a scene where he has the eye thing.
Yep.
So
Ridley Scott flat out said, I filmed it all believing that he was a replicant. In my mind, like Ridley Scott's like, I say he's a replicant.
Well, and then also,
but then the writers and
Harrison
Ford are like, no, that doesn't make any sense.
Harrison Ford and what's his name, Rutger?
Oh,
Rutger.
Batty.
Batty, yeah.
Rutger Hauer.
Rutger Hauer both were like in tandem, being like, no, that completely destroys any aspect of the human journey to this like replicant thing. Like he needs to be the human.
But see, then that comes. I like it with him being a replicant.
It doesn't make sense to me.
But that's the thing, is that he's a replicant like Rachel. He doesn't know that he's a replicant.
So, but is he a replacement of the other Deckard? Because this Deckard has had a career in the police department. He knows people.
In his memories, yeah.
No, but these cops know him. Like the chief knows him.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah. So he's been doing. He was created 10 years ago. And he has 10 years of memories of being a fucking Blade. Like
I don't know.
He was designed to be the best Blade Runner.
Yeah, that seems so weird to me. I don't know. I don't like that. I agree with Harrison Ford.
That's fair.
I just think it's like it feels like how do I word this? Putting that in there feels like an afterthought for a sequel. Does that make sense?
I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
it's like, oh wait, what if now the entire first movie he's actually been a robot?
Well, I mean, you don't really get that feeling that he's actually is a replicant until there is the eye thing, but the unicorn origami at the end which is the connection of Gaff, you know, and I think Gaff is actually it kind of gives like that Gaff could like know his memories. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is that it brings up it leans into Philip K. theme more, because then that like Detroit Becoming Human, it's like this entire time it's been like, oh, this human's journey that I want to connect with, and then you realize he's a replicant, and you're like, oh, but wait a second, what does humanity mean then? Because I cared about this character the entire time. What is you see where I'm going? It's like, it starts to make you wonder, like, what does humanity mean? Because if he is a replicant and he now wants to save Rachel, it's like, why can't he have that life?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then it's like, why does it matter if he's a replicant?
Well,
because it says like, if then replicants just want to be also, understood as a human, or recognized as human with humanity.
I think I get your point, but you don't need to make him a replicant to make that point. You've already made it.
Yeah,
you've already done that with with Batty, like the whole by the point that he just accepts his fate and he's sitting there and he's just having a conversation. It's like he's clearly very human. Mm-hmm. And so is Rachel, and so have all of them have been very, very human, and also just in the very basic aspect of they want to survive.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I mean, and out of you could put basic humanity instinct is just survival, but then it goes into question is like, well, what is it that makes us human? What does being human mean?
Well, then I think that when you did that monologue, the whole "I've seen things you wouldn't believe," it's like it's identity, I guess.
It's history.
It's history. It's experience.
Memory.
Yeah. It's like, God, yeah.
It's our ability to recall information and transport it and translate it to another.
The tears lost in the rain thing hit me different this time.
Oh, did it actually get an emotional response out of you?
Well,
a little bit?
Well, just in the sense I was like, oh, that's a very interesting thing too, because of the fact they're sitting in the rain. So it's like he himself
is...
He's crying right now. of sadness and like acceptance of his death that is coming.
And then with him being in the rain as he's washing away, he himself is like a tear in the rain.
I just didn't. I was like, oh, like
time to die.
I got it this time.
The way that he says "time to die" as well.
I like that it said twice.
What, time to die?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, when Leroy is about to kill Deckard.
Oh,
he slaps him.
Which I fucking didn't even notice that.
Which because I'm like, oh, is this like a because those two specifically were military.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm like, oh, is this like a weird like synthetic marine
time to die?
Yeah, like hoorah kind of thing, you know. But I did love that moment. He smacks him awake and he's like, wake up, time to die, and then he gets his head blown off. I was like, bummer, man. That was a great like one-liner.
Right.
Like, oh man, you went out on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, I thought that was an interesting kind of lore thing. Is that like a thing the military synthetics say is time to die?
I don't know, I guess.
I
think that may have just been like I think that was just a foreshadowing thing.
Really?
Just a writing technique.
I like the lore thing better. That's what I'm going to say. I don't care. I live in my own world. Alrighty
then. But yeah, no, I love his tears and rain speech because of just like,
it's impactful.
He's expressing this sense of like of transcendence of humanity. It's like, I have seen so much more than you will ever even begin to fathom.
Yeah.
And I am being robbed of more of it. And even Tyrell's like says like, you've already achieved so much. What more?
Revel in your time.
Yeah. Like you've already achieved so much.
But it's also like, it's like him saying that is, I can only imagine from Batty's point of view, being the most infuriating.
Oh, 100%.
It's like, dude, you're not helping your...
What?
No, I'm trying to think. What was that actor's name again? Joel Turkel?
Yeah. From The Shining?
Yeah.
Are you trying to think of something else he was in?
Was he in Demolition Man?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. But I think he might... No, it can't be him.
We need to be wrapping up.
Okay. But anyways, so, I mean, are we getting into...
Yeah. I feel like we've talked a lot about humanity because of this. Yeah. Where do you put it on the Gizmo scale?
I'm going with a Mogwai or a wet Mogwai.
I say a Mogwai. Like, it's not a Gizmo. It's not an amazing. I mean, it is a great movie. I fucking love this movie.
I understand why.
It is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I get both camps.
Yeah.
Basically.
I
was saying a wet Mogwai.
It has pacing issues. If it didn't have its pacing issues, I would say it's a Gizmo.
I would. That's on. Like, maybe we should check out the theatrical.
I do want to.
Because it's trimmed up. Like, and I get it. Like, the director wants their whole thing, but like, look at the Snyder cut, man. That thing was like 4 hours long.
It was 5 hours.
Was it 5? Oh man. But yeah, every now and then the director needs to be reeled in every now and then.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mogwai, but I say Mogwai to admit that because of the pacing issues.
A wet Mogwai?
A wet Mogwai, yeah. You know, so like a 6 out of 10, a 7 out of 10.
Well, I mean, ours is an out of 10.
You know, but I'm trying to give it like
I agree with the IMDb. It's like an 8.1, an 8 out of 10. Yeah, it's a Mogwai.
I give it like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah?
So that'd be a wet. Only because it's like the plot for this one is just really thin. I have a hard time with Deckard, and like it just doesn't. A lot of it doesn't make sense. But its cultural relevance and what it spawned for decades after is like it definitely. You know, I mean, this is on Metacritic's must see, and I agree with that. I think that if you're interested, if you're a sci-fi fan and you've never seen this, what are you doing? You need to check it out.
Get on it.
Yeah, like it's also just interesting to see where it's gone with special effects and.
Special effects really do hold up.
It's good.
Yeah.
They're cool. I mean, obviously you can tell there's
the digital remastering, you know, obviously they did touch-ups on it. So for 2007, but like the touch-ups that they did, good on you.
Yeah, but because even then it's kind of like one of those movies. What ages it is knowing who the actors are, knowing what Harrison Ford looks like now, and then watching this, you're like,
I would say some of the pacing and acting as well.
Really? I don't think that, because it is a noir. So noirs have a kind of slow.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. There's something about like one thing that I can really tell a movie of its time by how believable the actors are. You know, it's like there's very few movies from like the 80s and 70s where I'm watching where I'm just like that's a very believable. Like Marlon Brando in The Godfather is one of the few, and even that sometimes I feel like it's a little like 70s hokey.
The
It's like once
the music actually ages it a little bit too.
the synthetics, yeah.
Well, the synth work for the world, but like that
Yeah.
whole that weird sex scene that we talked about really briefly. There's like that
Oh,
slow
yeah.
jazz going. I'm like,
Yeah.
the fuck is this?
They didn't have R. Kelly yet. I should have just said R&B.
I wish we had that on camera. What the? I can imagine what my face just did.
We'll see if that makes the cut. They didn't have R&B yet.
Cannot believe that.
Okay.
Was that just really off the top of your head?
Yes, it
And
was.
then as soon as you said it, you're like, crap. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
All right. I think we need to be wrapping it up all the way.
Okay, so yeah, I say a wet Mogwai.
I think it's just a flat out Mogwai. You know, it's not a gizmo. It's not a perfect, great movie, but it is. I mean, yeah, it's one of my favorites of all time.
Yes, it's definitely worth a watch, especially if you're a sci-fi fan.
Mm-hmm.
I would say check it out. We're next week we are going to be kind of staying with the dark noir sci-fi fantasy kind of thing. We're going to be doing The Dark City, which I never really thought of that being a noir, but it kind of is.
I've never seen it.
It's interesting. I remember it being very good. I like since I want to start doing this kind of like memory review. I do think it did not age well in the special effects area.
Probably because it's 1992.
I don't think
It's really weird. I feel like special effects, like in the 80s, there was like a weird peak where they were getting good, and then all of a sudden it kind of like computer graphics stuff started to like get all new and interesting, and then it was like, oh, these don't look very good. But
I think that's what it was. It was like the 80s was still very
Johnny Mnemonic.
very practical.
Yeah.
You know, like paintings and actual physical
Yeah.
stuff. And then look at this new program. We can computer generate stuff. And it's like, yeah, you can. Doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was the stepping stones.
Yeah, and now we have what we have today. Yeah.
But yeah, Dark City. We're going to check that out and see what we think of that one. So join us next week.
City of the Dark. Yeah.
Yeah, City of the Dark. Follow us on Instagram and Patreon. Apple Podcasts. Or
Patreon. Yeah.
our link tree is on all our posts, and it will show everything that you can listen to us on. And yeah, tell your friends about it if you enjoy it. And
Yeah.
message us if you have any recommendations or complaints, or especially after that. So thanks for listening.
I don't regret nothing.
This is Tommy.
This is Jacob.
This is
Tommy and Jacob's mixtapes.
We're goosed.